Alright, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy. And over the past couple weeks, I've had a lot of people hit me up on Discord with pretty much the same question overall, right? And that is, why is X character not doing so well against Null? I used to use them all the time to clear stage 90, stage 99, stage 80, or what have you against all of these different bosses. But for whatever reason, all of a sudden, I can't even do stage 1 against Null. It's unfair and all that good stuff. I don't want to craft my cards. I don't want to reforge my CTP. What is going on? Why is this boss so difficult? So what I wanted to do with this video is actually give you guys some insight in regards to why certain characters are not doing so well against Null compared to how well they were performing against the other bosses, because a lot of you guys have gotten used to basically just one-shotting like a stage 99 and just being done with it, whereas you come over here against Null, you gotta play at least 3 minutes of the fight, sometimes 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Sometimes you die multiple times and you gotta redo it, right? And some of you guys, you get really frustrated and you don't want to deal with that, right? However, what I want to do with this video is point you in the right direction, let you know which characters you should ideally be building for this boss specifically if you want to get guaranteed CCF drops every day. Yesterday alone on stream, I was able to get over 200 CCF. Now, one of the rewards was from the Conqueror bonus, but still, we got like 190 something of just regular drops because he was my boss of the day. So really good, right? But that's not the point. And I also want to make this very clear. As you can see, my cards are not the greatest. Out of all the content creators from Marvel Future Fight, I'm pretty sure if you look at their cards and look at mine, I have the worst card set, because cards in this game come down to two things: RNG, so who gets the luckiest, and money, who puts in the most to make up for their bad luck, right? I don't want to put a bunch of money in my cards, because if I put a bunch in there and I get screwed, then I'm just wasting money, right? So these are my card set. I think they're decent, and with it, I've been able to complete all the content in the game, so I'm not really going to stress about it. But I do want to make this very clear that my cards are not crafted. I don't have the best stats in the game, but at the exact same time, I'm able to clear all the content in the game. So I wanted to be very clear with you guys about this, because I see a lot of you guys saying, oh my gosh, I can't beat Null because my cards are not crafted. No, you don't need your cards crafted to beat Null. You just need to understand the boss mechanics. You need to be patient, and you need to be willing to die and just not give up. Just keep pushing, right? And you also need to have the right characters and build properly. If you want to see me fail multiple times trying to beat Null, pop into a live stream and you'll see me literally fail with a great character like Sharon Rogers over and over again. And I just keep going, getting annoyed, but keep going regardless, right? Because that's just happened. That happens, right? It happens to the best of us. So let's talk. Why are certain characters, like for example, Namor, a character that is very powerful? You take him into Giant Bossery and he will slap like Galactus in like 2-3 minutes if you have him built up fully, right? But you take him against Null and he seems kind of lackluster. Like he can still do it. He's still in my top 20 right now for characters that can clear Null, but he doesn't decimate, he doesn't dominate like he would in other content. And the reason you're gonna notice that pretty much every character that I have on this list here, with the exception of a couple, right, they have one thing in common. And I spoke about this on stream last night, but it was a 2-hour stream. A lot of you guys, you don't even have 20 minutes to sit down and watch YouTube, right? You have kids, you have a job, you have other priorities, and that's completely fine. So I wanted to pack this into hopefully a 10-minute video and highlight these characters that you should be building if you haven't built them already, because they're gonna make Null much easier for you. Let's jump into it. The thing that basically seems to be the key to success against Null, besides obviously learning the pattern and building your characters properly, giving them a CTP of energy or rage, buying their newest uniform, knowing how to play the character, the main thing that I've come to realize from all the characters that I've been testing that makes them excel against Null is damage accumulation. It's crazy, right? But if you take a look at all the characters that I have highlighted today and the ones that I can consistently use to clear Null, the ones that do the best meaning they clear the fastest, they do the most burst damage to make up for whenever a phase transition goes, like, I guess, against what I want to do, and then maybe I push further than I want to go and I don't have my tier 3 skill ready or what have you. The characters that have the most bounce back potential, 90% of the time they have damage accumulation. And on this list, there's only a couple characters that don't have damage accumulation. But taking it a step further than that, the ones that have damage accumulation on their 1 through 5, meaning they either have it on their 1, their 2, their 3, their 4 on their 5th skill, they're the ones that's going to do the most work against Null. They're going to be the workhorse anyways, the workhorse for your account. The ones that have it on their tier 3 skills, it's still pretty good, but keep in mind you have to build up to your tier 3 skill, right? Whereas if you have damage accumulation on like your 3rd skill, your 4th skill, or your 5th skill, the cooldown times are relatively short, and you can get access to damage accumulation from the from the start of the match, right? So like, for example, Sharon Rogers, she has 10 seconds of damage accumulation, and you can put this thing up every 7.5 seconds. So this is up pretty much the entire fight, right? So when you do this and then you land her most powerful skill on your damage proc, you see insane damage, right? And if you take a look at the other characters, Scarlet Witch, for example, Scarlet Witch is an outlier. She's one of the characters that can do really, really well against Null, but she actually does not have damage accumulation anywhere in her kit. Now, she's not gonna decimate like she would against the other bosses because her mind control and her defense down doesn't work, right? But she still does plenty good and can hold down a solo, but she doesn't dominate like she usually does. Pietro has really good damage, but that, a lot of it comes from his damage accumulation, and just like Sharon Rogers, he can keep it up all the time. It's a 7.5 second cooldown and a 10-second duration, right? And if I go over here, you notice Odin also has damage accumulation. His damage accumulation is a little bit better than Pietro, I believe. No, it's actually the exact same, but it has a lower it's a longer cooldown, right? It has a longer cooldown, but Odin is actually one of the best, if not the best character to put against Null. Even though he has defense down in his kit and you would think he would be reliant on this, no, like, he's super fast, very good character for Null, but he's very expensive. And if we just keep working down this list, Namor has damage accumulation, but as you can see, it's on his tier 3 skill. You have to build up to that. You have to do 2 rotations. That's time passing when you're waiting for your tier 3, and then you're gonna land it on your proc, and then you only have a 10-second duration for your damage accumulation, and then you have to go right back up to building it. Whereas characters like Odin or Pietro or Sharon Rogers, like I showed you previously, they have access to their damage accumulation for the entirety of the fight. So that's why those characters are doing so well against Null. Magneto, also another character that can do well against Null. Just like that, 7.5 second cooldown and 10-second duration on his damage accumulation. And 90% of the characters that are doing really well, they have damage accumulation based on damage dealt, not damage received, meaning you don't have to take damage to do more damage. You just do damage, so you hit this skill and you just hit your other skills, and then by proxy they're just ramping up the damage for the entirety of the 10-second duration of the skill. So really good. And if you take a look at Professor X, he also has damage accumulation. So even though he has mind resist or mind defense down or what have you, that doesn't work against Null, but he still does really good because he has damage accumulation. I'm telling you, it's the key. If you take a look, this is the reason why Carnage looks much better against Null than Namor does. Even though if you put Namor on a stage against the Black Order or something, he might outwork Carnage. But against Null, Carnage wins most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, right? And that's because he has damage accumulation on his 5th skill, 10-second duration, and 8.5 second cooldown. You can see it. There's a pattern here, right? Sharon Rogers really talked about damage accumulation. Star-Lord also has damage accumulation. Now you can keep it up all the time, but it's a little bit tighter, right? 20-second cooldown, 10-second duration. Still can keep it up all the time. You move on. She does pretty well. But just like Namor, she has it on her tier 3, and that's why she's slower than other characters, because her accumulation is on her tier 3, meaning you got to build up to it, but you can build up to it rather quickly because of her passive, which allows you to reset skills, right? So really cool. But because she loses access to her defense down against Null and her crowd control, which crowd control is a big thing in regards to why certain characters look really good for world boss, like against the Black Order and stuff, because if you can keep the boss in place for like 10 seconds every like 20 seconds, then you can do 50% more damage because they're just a punching bag for 10 seconds every 20 seconds, right? So that's the reason why certain characters are falling off against Null, because there's no mind control, there's no like paralysis or nothing available to them now, so it's just raw damage. Or if you don't have raw damage, you need to have damage accumulation to get you to the point where you can do really high burst damage. And again, Blackagar, Boltagon, one of my favorite characters in the game, one of the biggest comebacks of 2020. Seriously, damage accumulation again, 7-second duration. You can't keep this up all the time, unfortunately. In his case, right, it's a 9-second cooldown, but 7-second duration, still pretty good. So yeah, he's really powerful. The damage accumulation is a big deal. Now this is one of the outliers. No damage accumulation anywhere in this man's kit, but because of this passive that gives him 120% extra damage to supervillains, coupled with this passive, well, it's not a passive, it's an active skill, right, that allows him to do 250 rather percent more damage to supervillains. That's 370% more damage. He's doing triple damage basically to Null, right? So that's why Ghost Rider is one of the best characters to take on Null. You should be looking at this list and you should basically be making a note of characters to build for the future, because this is where the content is going. Null is the future. Bosses like Null will keep coming, and characters that have damage accumulation, they're gonna stand out moving forward. Again, this guy, he's a heavy hitter, but damage accumulation is a big part of his kit as well. 10-second duration, 8-second cooldown. You can keep this up pretty much all the time, right? There's another character that I'm not going to include on today's list that has potential, and I'll show you guys at the end, right? Beta Ray Bill. He has an awaken skill. It's a 12-second duration on his accumulation, and it's a 30-second cooldown. But what makes these awakened characters really good is you don't have to build up to their awaken skill. You start the fight and you have access to their accumulation right out the gate. So it's very similar to if it was on their 1 through 5, right? So accumulation on an awaken skill is actually better than an accumulation that's on a tier 3 skill. Moving on, Mystique. Mystique doesn't have it on her awaken skill, but she actually has it on her 3rd skill, and she can keep it up all the time, and her accumulation is actually pretty good. It's 1.5%. Generally, when you get accumulation, it's 1%, right? You will see a lot of characters have like 0.7% or like 1%. She actually has 1.5%. Like Sentry has 1%, and Mystique has a higher amount of damage accumulation than he does. So again, she's paywall. She's well, not paywall, she's crystal wall, right? She's premium, but they give you a lot in her kit. Moon Knight, very similar to Ghost Rider. He's an outlier. He doesn't have damage accumulation anywhere in his kit, but his skills just hit really hard, particularly his shotgun showdown. This thing hits really hard. I think it's probably the hardest hitting skill in the game, right? We're just counting raw damage. Well, that and probably Sharon Rogers' nuke. Sharon Rogers' nuke, that's a big deal, right? But this skill hits really hard, so it makes up for the fact that he loses his defense down, plus he has all these buffs. Like, the buffs are crazy. The crazy buffs, hard hitting forward skill. He doesn't need accumulation. He's an outlier, right? Moving on. She also has damage accumulation, which is a big reason in regards to why she does so well, right? It's 1% of all the damage that she deals, and she actually deals a lot of damage, and you can cancel her skills, and she has some pretty nice buffs, right? So this is what you're going to notice for pretty much all these characters. They have damage accumulation. Now Medusa's damage accumulation, you can see it's it's not 1 point, it's 0.8. So it's not the lowest end, but it only lasts for 5 seconds. But for whatever reason, she still hits really, really hard. Actually, I know exactly why. It's because she's a leader, and she's a leadership and a support passive at the exact same time. So these two things, plus she actually has some really good buffs, right? 35% all attack there, and I believe she has another attack buff. Where is it? Yeah, right here, 70% all attack. So these are the reasons. So because her accumulation doesn't last very long, and it's not the high end, like it's not 1% or 1.5%, they made sure to give her like a leadership and a support passive plus some other buffs sprinkled in between. So she's really, really good, even without relying solely on the accumulation. Moving on, another character that I want to show you guys here that's going to be really good once I have her transcended. She's not transcended yet, but she has potential, right? And I have seen some stuff. It's actually Gwendolyn. You can see her accumulation is the highest amount of damage accumulation you'll see, 1.5, or at least that I've seen, right? Maybe in the future they'll put it up to 2%, but 1.5% up there with Mystique. It lasts for 12 seconds and it's a 15-second cooldown. So with max skill cooldown, 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds, you put this up, it's never gonna go down. Basically, it's never gonna go down. So you should ideally, if you like her, yeah, you should transcend her. She's really, really good. So last one is Carnage. Sorry, not Carnage. Carnage on the mind. Venom. Venom, he has damage accumulation on his tier 3. So he's going to be really good. He's probably going to be better than Namor. And it's 1.5% and 10-second duration. So very, very good future-proof character for you to invest in if you want to. These are pretty much the only characters that I can comfortably recommend at this point to build if you are pushing to get to Null. If you get to Null and you don't have any of these characters built up, you're gonna have a difficult time doing 5 clears per day, right? Now there's some other characters in here that can do Null, but I'm not too concerned about being able to do Null. You don't want to do Null, you want to dominate him, you want to decimate him. You want to go in and you want to be confident in your clear. Now, obviously things can go wrong, right? But I mean, on average, you go in, you do one run, you get it done, 3 to 5 minutes, boom, you move on to your next clear. You don't want to go in with a character that kind of can do it, then you run out of time, you have to keep redoing it. Like if you have one clear that's really difficult per day, that's fine. But if all your clears are like that, there's a problem. The characters need to be built better, and you need to be building better characters overall, right? So like, for example, Deadpool can probably do it. Doctor Strange can probably do it, right? Maybe Storm can do it. But we're not worried about who can do it. We want the characters that can decimate it, can dominate it. Silver Surfer, if built for PvE, can probably do it because he has damage accumulation on his 3rd skill. These are the things that you need to look out for characters going forward. Damage accumulation and insane attack buffs. Because right now, well, it's always been the case. Damage is king. And if you can't get it from your cards because your RNG is just not good or you don't have that much money, you got to look towards these characters and build the ones that seem to give you the most value. So I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully the video was informative. These are things that I went over on stream, but I just wanted to put it in a short condensed video so you guys can actually see it if you don't have time to watch a 2-hour stream. So catch you guys in the next one. Be safe. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, smash that like button and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.